In June of 2023, we brought home our first group of wild burros. They were nervous, reactive, and unsure of everything around them. Since then, we've worked with about 40 wild burros, getting them gentled and ready for their new homes. And today, we're bringing home 12 more. Right now, they're completely wild, untouched. Every group of wild burros is a little different. Some are more curious, some are more defensive, and you really don't know what you have until they've stepped off the trailer. Dan went to pick up this group on his own, and by the time they made it home, I was about to see them for the first time, and I thought it would be fun to bring you along on this journey. I always find it so much fun when we bring home a new load of wild burros to see which ones will gentle easily, which ones are going to be more nervous or defensive, and yet some of these will be adopted unhandled, so I won't even find out. Up until this point, their entire life has been about survival, reading pressure, staying within earshot of the herd, and avoiding anything that's unfamiliar. They didn't come with training. They've come with instincts. And understanding those instincts is the first step in gentling a wild burro.
Paperwork.
Now, Dan had great roads on most of the drive home. He did encounter some high winds on his travels, and during the last 10 miles of his way home, it started to snow. Thankfully, he only had 10 miles to go before he got home. You see that crooked ear in there? Oh my gosh, these donkeys have some neat characteristics, so I can't wait for you to see. With the side-by-side behind, we can see a little bit into the trailer, which is kind of neat because it is absolutely dark out, and as you can see, the snow is falling hard. When they unload, I'm not thinking about catching them or leading them. I'm watching. Who steps off first? Who hesitates? Who is looking for a way out? You'll usually see one or two that are a little bit more forward, and the rest take their cues from them. Anytime I'm watching a new group like this, I'm paying attention to how they handle pressure. Pressure can be movement, sound, space, or even just us standing here. You'll notice some of them keep their feet moving. Some of them lock up. Both are fear responses, they just look different. That's one way that a burro is different from a horse. Donkeys often will freeze. Even though they will move their feet, they are more likely to freeze. And a horse is more likely to move its feet than freeze. Now, of course, each one can go into the other's world for their response a little bit more than average. But the old stereotype of a donkey freezing and not moving is more common in a donkey than it is in a horse. The ones that move are trying to create safety by leaving. The ones that stop are trying to keep safety to create safety by standing still. That hesitation, that's not stubbornness. That is the donkey trying to decide if it is safe. Donkeys do not tend to react first. They like to think about things and then react after they've had a good long while to think about it. They might want 7 to 10 days. Sometimes it'll be a little bit faster. We're still hoping to go get one more load at the beginning of April before we have our adoption event on April 18th. So these burros, some will be available, some could be in the gentling program already. It just depends on who is over, who's approved for adopting a wild burro. So if that's something you're thinking about, then go on to the BLM Online Corral to apply to adopt a wild burro. Look at the characteristics, that face is just so adorable. We have all kinds of different colors. We have a couple with broken or crooked ears. Not entirely sure how that happens, but I have seen it before. Poor guys. Now, these are all geldings. Their ages range from 2 years old all the way up, I think, to 19. Look at that one with the white dot on his forehead. These guys are just adorable. So we have a very large age variance, and some of them are curious, some of them are nervous, and that's okay. They've had a long trailer ride and they got to be happy to be off the trailer now. Now, if you're thinking about adopting a wild burro, a question I get a lot is, what's easier to gentle, a young one or an old one? And you know, guys, there's Wild Mustang Frank and Laska. They're coming over to help us. Now, I have gentled, as you guys know, about 40 wild burros now. And I have had 2-year-olds that are hard, 2-year-olds that are easy, and the same for the older ones. But in general, what I have noticed is that the older ones often take more time to trust. But once you have that trust and you've started training, teaching them things, because they've already had some life experience, because they're older, they often train faster. The younger ones with their baby brains will often trust earlier. They'll trust quicker, but then they take longer to train because they just have a young mind. That's been my experience. I like them all, guys. I like them whether they're old and into their 20s or they're just a baby. I like them all. And I think they all have something to teach us. They teach us so much about patience, reading all of their little nuances. Remember how very stoic a wild donkey is, or any donkey for that matter. But now we get to see them in the daylight. Now you're seeing a mixture of donkeys that have been with us for a while and the new donkeys that we just brought home. So these next video clips are going to show you donkeys that have already started the gentling process, as well as ones that are completely untouched. Now we have all of the panels open so that they can go into the barn because of the snow. We like them to be able to get out of the weather when they're fresh like this. Most of them are just focused on staying safe. Now this little girl approaching, she used to be so spicy, and I think it was just because she was nervous and young. She now eats oats from her hand, and she has just started in the gentling program. There's another one to watch for. Here he is. He is a buckskin, almost like a dun-colored burro. Boy, is he just neat looking. Now keep watching because you'll notice the ones with the crooked or broken ears. That usually comes from life on the range. Injuries come from rough play or just survival. Remember, these are all geldings, so they were also fighting for the right to procreate. These burros may have been untouched in training, but they're not untouched in life.
What are you doing, huh, Spicy?
Now for herd dynamics, right now, the herd is everything to them. They don't think as individuals yet. They think and move as groups. That's why when one moves, others often follow, and why one confident burro can help settle the rest. And for this group, their first experience here is a snowstorm. So they're processing new place, new people, being tired from a long trailer ride, and a completely new environment all at once. Gentling and training your wild donkey. This is where people often make mistakes. They feel like they need to step in right away and do something right away. But a lot of gentling starts before you ever touch them. This part, just letting them settle, is part of the training. They're getting used to us entering the area, the pen, bringing food, topping off water, seeing us move around. Something I've noticed with past loads of donkeys that we brought home, is when we walk down to the barn and the training pens, they'll see us and they'll run. Just like a swarm of minnows, they will take off running just because they saw us walking. But as time goes by, we become predictable. Remember, they're masters at reading body language and intention. So after a while, they start to learn that when we come down, something is going to happen. Maybe we're going to bring them hay or food. Maybe, I guess hay and food is the same thing, isn't it? Hay or water. Maybe we're going to separate them into pens for gentling. So after a little bit of time, and it doesn't take that much, they start to know what to expect. And then they don't run like a swarm of minnows swimming away when they see us approaching. But when they do to begin with, I try to make sure that we are moving slowly with intention, maybe talking more. My goal is not to scare them and make them fearful of me. It's very natural that they are fearful when they first get here, though. So if I can be considerate and maybe talk a little bit louder so they know I'm coming and I don't surprise them, that can go a long way. All those little tiny things that we can do to help them find comfort with us, to help them be able to notice our predictability, will help them with gentling and training later on. So this part, just letting them settle, is part of the training. In the upcoming days, things start to settle a little. They're still wild, but they're starting to take things in stride instead of reacting. We're not working with anybody in this group yet. Right now, they're just learning that people exist in their space and nothing bad is happening. There is a difference between a burro that's settling and one that's shut down. Settling brings curiosity back. Shut down means they've stopped reacting. What I'm looking for now are small changes. A step closer, a longer look, not leaving as quickly. Those small changes are what you build on later. Wild Donkey Ah was one of the very first donkeys we brought home back in 2023. This group, known as the Golden Girls, they were very, very nervous. Even something as simple as throwing hay would send them moving, and shadows were a big trigger for them. Now all three of these wild donkeys, they're now riding, packing, and going onto the trail, completely new environments. It's hard to believe that these nervous wild donkeys now enjoy sitting and cuddling on the ground with us. This kind of change doesn't come from forcing them. It comes from helping them understand, step by step, they are safe. Every trained donkey you see started somewhere. And usually, it looks just like this. If you're interested in adopting, we do have an adoption event coming up on April 18th. And one thing a lot of people don't realize, you can adopt a completely untouched wild burro or one that's already been gentled. That gives you the opportunity to build that relationship from the very beginning, or start with one that has the basics if you feel nervous or overwhelmed with starting from the beginning. If you're looking for something a little further along, you can reach out to us about adopting a gentled wild burro. If you're just getting started, I always recommend taking a look at the BLM Online Corral. This is where you'll go to apply to begin the adoption process. And if you're ever wanting help along the way, we offer memberships, coaching, clinics, and gentling camps to help people learn how to work with your new wild burro. But no matter where they end up, right now, these 12 wild burros are at the very beginning of their journey.